I like the classics. He has to keep telling us. The first thing I noticed that was out of place was when I pressed start. There was a split second when I saw the title finish turn into something much different. Something that I now consider horrifying before cutting to black. Look at this bit.
Yeah, just like a man gaping for his hole, just like right there. He's like moving it up, he's like...
Well,
that's a different kind of ring, huh?
Don't worry, you're going to find out. Okay, good. I remember what the image looked like in that split second before the game cut to black. The sky darkened. The title emblem was rusted and ruined. The Sega 1991 was instead Sega 666.
Oh no!
And the water had turned red like blood, except it looked hyper-realistic!
I love it!
So there's this thing back in like early creepypasta culture where every story for some reason had to include a mention of hyper-realistic blood. So in other words, you're looking at like a picture, but the blood in the picture is hyper-realistic. His eyes were hyper-realistic. Like Squidward Suicide did that, and Drown did that, like all of them had to mention hyper-realistic blood. So these are obligatory ones to sort. But the freakiest thing that was in that split-second frame of song. His eyes were pitch black. It gleamed with two glowing red dots. And his smile had stretched wider up to the edge of his face. I was rather disturbed about it. When I saw it, though I figured that it was just a glitch and forgot about it. After it cut to black, it stayed like that for about 2 seconds or so. Then another weird thing. The save file select from Sonic the Hedgehog 3 popped up. I was like, what the fuck? What's this doing in the first Sonic game? I, as a Sonic fan, know all the save files. Anyway, then I noticed something off. The background was the dark, cloudy sky of the Mad Stardust Speedway level from Sonic Speed. What the fuck does that mean? That is insane. And there were only 3 save files. The music was that creepy Caverns of Winter music from Earthbound.
You know there was like one guy that day just like humming that, of course.
There's one dude like standing over there somewhere who's like, how could you not know?
Yeah, there's definitely one guy with his arms crossed right now, just like, this is easy, elementary work.
I think this is reasonable.
Right.
Thanks for joining.
Only it was extended to reverse.
Oh my god.
Another classic. And the image for the save file where you see a preview of the level you're on is just red static for all 3 files. What freaked me out more was the character select. It showed only Tails, Knuckles, and to my surprise, Dr. Robotnik. Now I was sure that something was up. I mean, how can you play as Robotnik in a classic Sonic game, for crying out loud? I was gonna add for crying out loud as a joke, but it's in the text. That's when I realized that this wasn't glitching it. It was a hacked game.
Chinese Sonic.
Yeah, it definitely looked hacked. It was really creepy. There's a smart game. Oh my god. Great. I wasn't scared, or at least I tried not to. I told myself that it was just a hacked game. There's nothing wrong. Anyway, shaking off the creeped out feeling, I picked file 1 and chose Tails. When I selected and when I selected, it got started. The game froze for about 5 seconds and I heard a creepy pixelated laugh. Oh, that was cool. Yo! Pixelated laugh sounded an awful lot like the Kefka guy from this is just Nintendo reference. Well, Sonic, Sega, whatever. But just reference. He's going to talk about his Funko Pops in a second. before cutting to black.
Use Kayak's filter to find hotels that have the free stuff you want. Download the Kayak app now.
The screen stayed black for about 10 seconds more, and then it showed the typical level title thing, except the simplistic shapes were different shades of red. Ooh, and the text showed only Build Pack 1.
As a Sonic fan, you would know this in the first place.
The screen faded in, and the level title vanished, revealing Tails and Silver. The music was different, though. It sounded like a peaceful melody in reverse.
Reverse music. Same as hyper-realistic blood. It was all the moves.
Anyway, I started playing, and then Tails
Come
started
on.
running like he was classic Sonic. What was odd was that as Tails was running along the level, there was nothing in the background featuring 5 minutes. That peaceful music started to load slowly. It's very slowly. I suddenly saw something, and I stopped to see what it was. It was one of the small animals lying dead on the ground bleeding. That was when the music started to slow down. Tails had a shocked and saddened look on his face, and I never saw him have before. So, I had to move along and kept worrying about this. As he kept moving, I saw more dead animals. Tails moved past him, looking more and more worried as the music lowered, and he moved past more dead animals. I was shocked to see how they all died. They looked like somebody killed them. Oh, that's 18. I was like, what? I'm like, do we have a sound effect for that? In rather gruesome ways. A squirrel was hanged on a tree with what oh, this is great. Oh, God, I gotta lock in. Oh, my gosh. What appeared to be his entrails hanging out. A bunny had all 4 of his limbs torn off, and a duck had his eyes gouged out and his throat slit. I felt sick to my stomach when I saw this massacre, and apparently so did Tails. After a few more seconds, there were no more animals, and the music seemed to have stopped. I still kept Tails to continue. After a minute passed after the music stopped, Tails was running up a hill, and then he stopped. It wasn't until I saw why. Sonic was there on the other side of the screen with his back against Tails with his eyes closed. Tails looked happy to see Sonic, but then his smile faltered. Obviously noticing that Sonic wasn't responding to him, if not acting as if he was totally oblivious of Tails' presence. Tails walked slowly towards Sonic, and I noticed that I wasn't even moving my keyboard to make him move, so this had to be a cutscene. Suddenly, I began to have a growing feel of dread as Tails walked closer to Sonic to get his attention. I felt that Tails was in danger and something bad was going to happen. I heard Sonic growing louder as Tails was but inches away from Sonic and stopped and stuck his hand out to touch him. That foreboding feeling in my gut was growing stronger, and I felt the urge to tell Tails to get away from Sonic as the static grew louder.
Get away. Tails, no. Tails, stop it.
Suddenly, in a split second, I saw Sonic's eyes open, and they were black with those red glowing dots, just like that title, though there wasn't a smile. When that happened, the screen turned black and the static sound was off. It stayed black for about 7 seconds, and then white text appeared forming a message saying, "Hello. Do you like to play with me?"
3 of your ex-boyfriends died. Sure, a few of my exes are dead. That's it.
At this point, I was creeped out. I didn't want to continue with the game, but my curiosity got the better of me. When I was taken to a different level with the level title now saying, Hide and Seek. Ooh. This time, I was in the Angel Island. Let's stop referencing Sonic levels. From Sonic 3, and it looked like everything was on fire. Tails looked as though he was scared out of his wits this time. Oh boy! He actually looked at me and made frantic gestures to me as if he wanted to get out of the area he was in as fast as possible. I was starting to get freaked out by this. I mean, Tails was actually breaking the fourth wall, trying to tell me to get him out of there. So I pressed down on the arrow key as hard as I could, made him run as fast as he
Damn,
could.
I was trying to hit the guy,
Version of
that
creepy
elite,
when you meet Shadow,
with a
as
rocket.
Song referencing Sonic when you meet Shadow at the arc as Robotnik from I guess Sonic Adventures 2 was playing as I made Tails trek through the desolate forest, trying to help him escape from whatever he was trying to run from. Suddenly, I heard this is the fourth paragraph that's open with suddenly. Suddenly, I heard that creepy laugh again. That awful Kefka laugh. Right after 10 seconds had passed as I helped Tails run through the forest. And then I started seeing flashes of Sonic popping everywhere on the screen, again with those black and red eyes. And the music changed to that suspenseful, drowning jingle as I see Sonic behind Tails slowly gaining up on him, flying. Sonic wasn't running, he was flying. The flying pose his sprite was making looked very similar to, he's about to make a reference, to Metal Sonic's flying pose. It's gosh.
Right.
Except it was just Sonic. And you don't get this. Sonic can do that. Only Metal Sonic can do that.
It's true.
And he had the black and red eyes again. Only this time, he had the most deranged looking grin on his face. He looked as though he was enjoying the torment. Give me the poor little fox as he came up on suddenly, fuck off with the suddenly! When Tails tripped, another cutscene, the music stopped and Sonic vanished. Tails laid there and started crying for 15 seconds. I timed it. The scene was rather upsetting to watch, and I kind of teared up myself.
Oh my God, Tails. No.
But then, Sonic appeared right in front of Tails, and Tails looked up in horror. Blood started to come from his face, and he looked down at the horrified fox. I could do nothing but watch. Just in a split second, Sonic lunged at Tails right before the screen went black. There was a loud screeching noise that only lasted 5 seconds. The text returned only this time, and it said, "You're too slow. Want to try again?" And then that god-awful laugh came with it. I was so shocked by what had happened. Did Sonic murder Tails? No, he couldn't have. Him and Tails are supposed to be best friends.
Right.
Why did Sonic do that to him?
I have no idea.
I shook the shock off as I was brought back to the character select. The save file that had Tails was different. Tails was no longer in the box itself, but in their TV screen itself, which was flickering with that red static. Tails' expression scared me. His eyes were black and bleeding, and his orange fur had gone black, and he had an expression of anguish on his face. Trying to ignore it, I kicked Knuckles' next. I like how he keeps playing the game. The laugh came again. The laugh came again. Is that a goose?
Oh.
Alright, sorry. Sorry for asking you to do your job. I apologize. Thank you. The laugh came and the screen cut to black again and stayed there for 10 seconds. This time the level said, "You can run." I was really freaked out by now. I couldn't really tell if this was a glitch or a hack or some kind of sick and twisted joke. Or anything, really. But despite my fear of what happened next, I kept playing. The next level looked much different. It had the ground of the scrap brain. Stop referencing Sonic level.
It's a good zone.
But the sky background looked like the main menu. It had the dark reddish cloudy sky. He's gonna make another reference. But it was the music that creeped me out the most. It sounded like Guy gets me right after you beat Pokey and Earthbound.
Sure. Okay, yeah.
I also noticed that Knuckles looked afraid, just like Tails did, though not as much. Or rather, he looked a little unnerved. Thank you. He broke the fourth wall, just like Tails, and looked as if he wasn't sure about going on, but I made him move anyway.
What a sadistic fuck.
He ran down the straight pathway in this dark level, and as he did, the screen started to flicker red static a couple times, and then that maddening laugh came again. Then after a few seconds of running, I noticed several blood stains on the metallic ground. I felt a growing sense of fear again, thinking something horrible is going to happen to Knuckles. He looked nauseated walking down this blood-stained road, but I still kept him going. Suddenly, as Knuckles ran, Sonic appeared right in front of him with those black and red eyes, and then red static appeared again. When the static vanished, showing nothing but black screen with text saying,
How'd you?
I was now scared. Sonic found Knuckles already? What was going on? Anyway, red static came again, and then I was back to the level. Knuckles looked like he was panicking, and Sonic was nowhere to be found. And this time, the high-pitched squealing from, give me a reference, Silent Hills 1's final boss was playing.
Good boss.
Was it someone went, yes?
Oh my god.
Was this some kind of boss battle with Sonic? I hope to God it was. Suddenly,
Dear fucking lord.
Sonic appeared right behind Knuckles in what appeared to be pixelated black smoke. As opposed to real black smoke. I made Knuckles turn and then punched Sonic, but Sonic vanished in black, pixelated smoke before I could even land a hit. That terrible laugh went off again. I'm not even going to wait on it this time. Then Sonic appeared behind Knuckles again, and thank you. And then
A hair late. Just a hair.
And then I made him punch again, and Sonic vanished again, laughing. Knuckles was panicking. Knuckles was panicking even more, and even I felt like I was going crazy. Sonic was practically playing with us. He was playing a sick, twisted little mind game with me.
Stop it, Sonic!
Knuckles.
You're tearing me apart!
Another. What a timely room reference.
Thank you.
Another cutscene played as Knuckles fell to his knees and clutched his head, sobbing. I felt his agony. Sonic was actually driving us both crazy. And then in a split second, Sonic lunged at Knuckles, and then the screen went black with another distorted screeching noise that lasted for at least 3 seconds.
So many souls to play with, so little time. Would you agree?
What the hell? Just what's going on? I started to think Sonic was actually trying to talk to me through the game. But I was too scared to think that. You just said you... Okay. I was starting to think... I was too scared to think. Anyway, I brought back to the main menu, and this time the second file box had Knuckles in the TV screen. His red fur had darkened to a reddish gray. Oh my god. His dreadlocks were dripping with blood.
Oh my god.
And his eyes were black and bleeding too.
Oh.
Who's left? And he had a look of sadness on his face. I regret asking that. Someone's like, oh, there's like 5 characters left. Sorry. I began to think that those are actual characters trapped in... What? Wait. I looked at the sadness of Knuckles, and I began to think those are actual characters trapped in those screens on the save file. But I couldn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it. So he's like, maybe Knuckles is real?
Knuckles has a consciousness inside the
Okay.
CD.
We're just gonna power through. So I shut off the game and took a break. I took a nap.
Oh, God.
I need to sleep on this. I wish I had it, because I then began to have the most disturbing nightmare. It's so... Okay. So if you were reading creepypastas around this time, there was always like a scary dream, there was always photorealistic blood, there was always backwards music. So this author's like, I need to do all of those at once. Got it.
Hell yeah.
And there's no natural way to incorporate sleeping into a video game. So he's like, in the middle of this, I fell asleep.
Yeah. So I got pretty tired and I took a nap.
I was in pitch black darkness. I was under the light given off by a lamp, as lamps do, that hung high above my head. I could hear the cries of Knuckles and Tails nearby. They were saying stuff like,
Help us. Why did you give us to him? Run away before he gets you too.
their cries died out as I then heard Sonic laugh his laugh. It sounded a lot like the distorted Kefka laugh.
You said that!
He has mentioned that stupid laugh 3 times.
You're a lot of fun to play with, kid. Just like your friend Kyle. Though, he didn't last this long.
I like the person who said what. Like, this is where they get off. Like, Kyle got it too, really?
I want to say that's the kind of fuck sentence, though.
What is?
Just the, you didn't last as long as Kyle. Just kind of, I don't know.
What?
Gone Sexual 4K edition. Sonic Backshots 4K. Because now I'm picturing a demented evil Sonic, like, twerking. He's just like,
You're pretty good, kid. But can you last this long?
there's like rings, everybody's bouncing up, rings are popping out.
I'm a fucking demon.
No? Alright. Just me, I guess.
I was in medical school. Okay. I was scared and looking around for the source of the voice.
It won't be long now until you join him and all my other friends.
I saw him walking toward me, flickering in and out in several directions.
You can't run, kid. Your eye will down. Just like the others.
Now imagine like Macho Man Randy Savage in the Sonic.
Oh yeah. You can't run, kid.
When he grabbed me, and I saw his bleeding black and red green face, I woke up with a fright. After a couple of hours, I decided to continue playing the game.
Of course.
I don't know why, but I had to know.
Sure.
I had to figure out why this was happening. So I turned on the computer, turned on the game, and selected Robotnik. I still thought that was wacky, playing as Robotnik.
This is downright strange.
Robotnik's the weird part.
I did it.
No, okay.
He's having fever dreams. He's like, really? Robotnik?
Okay.
But anyway, the level title appeared again, and this time it said, which I found really freaky. You have threatened to kill me in my sleep, if you will, but mess with my Sonic game?
Yeah, really? No title for this one?
This time, I was in some kind of hallway. Didn't really look like it was from any of the classic Sonic games, though it had the pixelated style. The floor was shiny and checkered. The walls were dark grayish purple with animated candlelights, and a few dark bloodstains here and there. And there was a dark red curtain hanging above on top part of the screen. Every 12 seconds or so, that red curtain sways very slowly, but whenever you're playing the game, you can barely see it move. The music, I can already feel, because he's describing the scene. I haven't looked at the end of the paragraph, but there's going to be a reference to something. The music was oddly pleasant, a piano playing a rather sad yet peaceful song, but I knew better. You knew better? Where's it from? This was the song that played in Hill Act 1.
Right.
Only it wasn't in reverse.
Oh, jeez.
Robotnik didn't look entirely nervous like Tails and Knuckles did. But he did have a suspicious look on his face, as if he was just a bit paranoid. How are you telling this on like a pixelated little... Anyway. He did a little animation when I just left him standing. He would turn his head to the left and then to the right at least twice, and then shrug at me, as if he had no... as if he had no idea where he was or what was going on. Even though I was scared out of my mind about what was going to happen, I had Robotnik continue onward. He did his casual running animation, you know, when you've beaten him at the end of the classic Sonic game and you chase him. Thank you! As we continued through the hallway. I'm getting mad. Then I stopped at a long flight of stairs leading downward. Now I was less nervous. Even Robotnik seemed unsure of himself, though I pressed onward. As I led Robotnik down the stairs, I noticed that the walls had gotten darker and more reddish. The red torches were now an eerie blue. And then we landed onto another hallway. This one was longer than the last one. Stop explaining. Okay. Or at least it felt like it. And then we headed down another flight of stairs down. This one was much longer. Took at least 1 full minute. Thank you. And I heard, I'm so mad I'm slamming the keys. And then I heard that horn, that laugh again. And then thank you. And then the music slowly faded until it was quiet. And it did the wall, oh wait, it doesn't, I was right. And it did the walls turned more dark red, and the torches were a black flame now. Ooh. When Robotnik landed onto the third hallway, I noticed he now looked really creeped out. Then he tried to hide it. I couldn't blame him. I was scared too. Suddenly, Sonic popped right in front of Robotnik the same way he did Knuckles, and then red static. The red static lasted for 15 seconds, and then it showed me a most unpleasant image. The image showed a blank of Sonic standing in the darkness where you can only see his face while his head and torso faded into black.
Hold, what is blank?
A hyper...
Realistic blank.
I don't know, probably... Probably, if I had to guess, they're trying to do the SCP thing. To be like, we'll redact stuff.
It's too horrible.
It's too horrible to say what it was.
Okay.
But which does kind of imply it's like this. Yeah.
I didn't know if we were bringing back twerking Sonic or not. Maybe blank.
And when I say, he's going to see, when I say I'm realistic, I mean like he looked so real you could see the lines in his blue fur.
Holy shit.
Maybe this is something a little bit. As if you could actually feel the fur if you touch the screen. All right, now I'm a little grossed out.
Oh my god.
His face.
Oh my god.
He had the most horrifying smile I had ever seen.
Oh dear god.
And that's saying something considering I saw that image at the start of the game. His eyes are wide and black and once again crying blood, which also looks hyper-realistic. And there were 2 small glowing red dots in those black eyes staring right at me, as if staring into my mind. His grin was wide and demonic. It literally stretched to the sides of his face like a Cheshire cat. He somehow made another reference. Except Sonic had fangs. Very sharp fangs. Much like, here we go, the werehog's teeth, except more vicious looking. How you doing over there, Chief? I'm in hell. Somewhat yellowish. And from the look of it, he had stains of blood and small bits of flesh on his lips and fangs as if he ate some animal.
Oh my god.
I stared at the gruesome image for a good 30 seconds. Timing the seconds, like, so every time.
I like to think they're Mississippi's too.
A lot of Mississippi.
Never taking my eyes off it. I felt as if he was actually looking at me, smiling at me, that face. It just took 10 seconds for it to etch itself into my brain for good. Although, if you'll recall from earlier, I stared for 30. Then the screen flickered with red static again 3 times, and on the 3rd time, I heard the Kefka laugh. Except this time, it sounded distorted, demonic even. It went back to the image again, except this time there was the text again, though it was messed up, but it was pretty much one of the most horrifying things I've looked at since I had this game.
I am God.
Oh! The wall, Sonic!
What?
It's Sonic!
You know, from Sonic Adventures 2.
Was that a Sonic monster? I really don't think so. Okay, we have to be close. I'm God. It was when I read that message while looking at Sonic when it hit me, I realized right there and then, what are these citizens? This Sonic was a monster. A pure, evil, sadistic, all-powerful, nightmarish, demented monster. And all of his victims, including Tails, Knuckles, Robotnik, and possibly Kyle, are all just his little toys in the game and this very gateway to his chaotic, nightmarish world and the very hell his victims are trapped in. Suddenly, in an actual split second, an actual one, I screamed as Sonic lunged at the screen, screeching loudly with his mouth wide open to an unnatural length, revealing nothing but a literally spiraling abyss of pure darkness before the red static came again, this time much louder and distorted, so loud that it hurt my ears. I yelled and grabbed my ears as the red static screeched for a good, count 'em, 7 seconds. Then, it stopped and showed nothing but black screen. As I sat there staring at the black screen, one last text came up.
Round two, Tom.
The Kefka laugh, now sounding more clear as if Sonic was right behind